You may have technology labs. You may have assessments being conducted online. The teacher content is uploaded. It's accessible to the student 24/7. There would be digital document making up. Children would have interaction with the teacher. There would be digital library. There would be auto-generation and evaluation of assessments. The performance and progress will be monitored. Blended learning, this is a small image which is self-explanatory. It encompasses all the methodologies of teaching learning process. Next. But I would like to now take a giant leap forward and bring you to the concept of the new age classroom, the intelligent classroom. Here, the classroom is not only a four-walled rooms, it is an environment where you may have video cameras, microphones to sense motion, gestures of the teacher, of the student. Every detail of the classroom will be recorded, can be stored, can be viewed at a later date, thus creating content real time. The teacher need not actually sit together and prepare a content for the children to view later. The smart classroom can have a lot of transactions which can happen. For example, recording of attendance. The teacher would be saved of many rudimentary jobs that we do on a day-to-day basis in the classroom. The smart classroom would also show us synchronize with apps, synchronize with the e-reader the child is reading, can suggest web searches to the children, can also remind children when the assignments are due, collect the assignments from the children. It can also mark some of the assessments, thereby reducing the teacher's load a lot. The smart classroom can provide personalized feedback on various exercises. Now, there are other advantages of having a smart classroom in a school environment. It can also provide assistance to visually hearing impaired students. The possibilities are endless in such a classroom environment. So I would like to conclude my presentation with a reality check that it is high time we realize that there's a paradigm shift happening in the teaching learning process, and we really need to stay updated and be upgraded to keep pace with the new generation. Thank you very much for your patience hearing. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. So I think, at least in the conclusion, she's echoed what Rajaram Sharma had said, that it's not the subjects that you learned, but the ability to learn, which is going to be an important outcome of this education. Yes, can we have the next one now? Bangalore South.
I request DPS Bareilly to be ready next, and I request DPS Bangalore South to come up on the stage.
Greetings from DPS Bangalore South. So we are focusing on the good ICT practices which we are having in the classroom. We are aware that in order to cater to 21st century learning, the educator is challenged to adopt new paradigms of education. So the task of reinventing schools for changing demographics with multiple intelligences and diverse literacies is definitely Herculean. Today, the simple classroom has transformed into the smart classroom. So other than content sharing, we have regular use of utilizing resources on the internet to augment learning. So we showcase videos, presentations, student projects, which actually lead to enriched learning experiences. We also have interactive sessions through the interactive whiteboards, the IWBs. The focus actually, what we have done here is that we have our math department exclusively working on in-house customized modules. So they have a lot of visual stems. They have worked on a lot of visual questions, which we upload on the smart class, and it is available for our children. We also have the life skills program, which is where we showcase short films, because when you talk about visuals, they're more appealing to children. Next. Yes, we utilize these two resources a lot, Khan Academy and MindSpark. Well, they're actually tools of technology. So in MindSpark, we have tablets wherein they're given to children. So questions are based on the syllabus, the topics are activated by the teachers, and children attempt these questions online. Khan Academy, as everyone knows, it's a freely available resource. So DPS Bangalore South had this privilege of collaborating with Government of Karnataka and Khan Academy last year as a pilot project wherein students of Standard 6 were involved. So we've continued with that. Student logins are created which are linked to teachers and parents. So once the teacher tells them to do exercises in a particular topic, what happens is there is a comprehensive and individual report which goes to the parent and the teacher as to how the child has attempted, what the child has done in terms of during the week or during the day. It's a daily basis report that the teacher and the parent gets. Basically, through these tools, what happens is reinforcement and exposure to higher order thinking. Both MindSpark and Khan Academy are self-paced, and the best part is they cater to varying degrees of difficulty. This is something which is very unique to DPS Bangalore South. It's the classroom blog. This was initiated in 2010, and it's the first of its kind, which was, this entire exercise has been initiated by Mrs. Kamalpreet. She's sitting there. She's from the science department. So it's learning beyond the classroom. And what has happened is you have a lot of discussion forums, you have quizzes, you have videos, you have games dealing with science. So she has actually customized, she's improvised, she's developed multimedia content and simplified videos which bring about concept clarity. We saw what it did was it addressed curiosity and it cultivated an R&D kind of outlook in children. Same way, the flipped classroom, which I think my colleague from DPS Bangalore East just talked about. So it's an amalgamation of online activities at home and collaborative work in the classroom. So in a nutshell, what happens at home is they watch children, watch videos, they use Google, they engage themselves in discussion forums, and they learn while gaming. So in the classroom, then the next day what happens is there is collaborative work, a mind map or practical work, there are presentations, and that is how the outcome is evaluated. Again, another unique feature of DPS Bangalore South, our library is gone online. We have a blog called the Archive of Longings. So topics are provided and various pieces in creative writing are invited. It is open to everybody, so teachers, students, parents, all of them contribute. We have the e-journals. This is a collage of the e-journals done by students of the middle school. That's classes 6, 7, and 8. Children present the e-journal on the topic, so it includes research, expert opinions, there are innovative activities highlighted, the editing, and the entire collaboration is done by children themselves. So the teacher over here is an orchestrator of learning. She's not a dispenser of knowledge. Finally, we also have connecting classrooms. These are British Council programs. We have Skype classrooms, we have video conferences, wherein our children interact with children from other countries. They interact on an array of topics. So it's a platform to share information. They get experience hands-on about nuances of culture which is there other than their country, what is prevalent outside. They also talk about education, they talk about lifestyle, because we know that there is a focus on global village. So what we do through these programs is that we sow seeds of global citizenship at a very early age. So it's actually absolute learning. About assessment and voting, which is something which is very, very, very interesting. I'd like to invite the ICT coordinator, Vasudha, to talk about it.
Thanks, Anita. I would like to give the advantages of going online for assessment. We have developed an assessment tool for standard 6 to 8 for computers alone. And those are the screenshots which you see. The cover page, which has the student details, and that's the last screen, where students get to know what answers they have marked, and they can also see the correct answers. And after this, they get their score. So I would just brief out about the advantages of the on-screen assessment. One, competitive exam pattern is followed. If you take up any competitive exams like the IITs, it's based on MCQs. So we've tried to implement that. Also, the framing of question is a challenge to the teachers as well, because they need to find equally good distractors. So teacher creativity is also nourished, you can say. And it saves time. You get, students get instant results. It's easy to analyze. Teachers can analyze student results on the software. Marking scheme is very simple. There's no marking of 1/4 and 3/4. So it's just MCQs and you get a 1 or a 0. There's no room for cheating. And teachers create a question bank. So they try and put in all possible questions rather than having a blueprint and set of popular questions. So that's a good thing. And I think, yes, I've covered everything. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay, I just missed out on the voting. Voting is also done on computers, which helps us during elections while selecting school representatives. And that's done by kids. Thanks.
So on a concluding note, what I'd like to say is, yes, we know that today's classroom needs have to be platforms for active learning and action research. And since, as Sir mentioned earlier also, that we are dealing with digital natives, so educators are required to introduce novel methodologies and latest trends to pave the way to this transformational learning process. Thank you, sir.
So we're coming more and more to this idea that if you look at collectively, a lot of best practices have been shared, and therefore those who have not adopted some of these can adopt that, and those who have done then can move on. So flip learning, blended learning, these kind of things would be very useful. So let's hear the others and then we can quickly just.
I request DPS Bhilai to be ready for the next presentation. And may I have DPS Bareilly on the stage, please?
A very good afternoon. I'm privileged to share the forum which underlines the educators' challenges in teaching and learning in changing digital times. The validity of vast range of applications of information technology in schools is believed to dramatically improve and revolutionize education outcomes. But technology-based innovations offer special challenges in this transitional phase of education system. Now it becomes apparent to harness the technology in its true sense. So what do we want technology to do in today's schools? Is it more learning equivalent to investing more money? Are we using technology effectively? Or is the technology putting in chains and clutches its premature users and switching them off to the people and the world around them? So what are the questions we should be asking? What world will our students exit school into? What skills will they need to be successful? Will it be collaboration, communication, creativity, divergent thinking? It's time we ask the important questions. We need technology to foster these skills and point our students to the right directions. It is praiseworthy to note that Indian government had taken several steps to digitize Indian education system. Despite consistent efforts by the government, why do we lag behind? And where are the lacunae? Is it the frailty of the system or the weak mindset? There are challenges ahead to contemplate. Challenge 1. self-funding and government-aided schools as will have to encounter financial constraints, which put a big question mark on installing the multimedia-capable and internet-connected systems, which is a massive investment. Challenge 2. A huge gap between urban, suburban, and rural parentage is a hindrance to prove that digital learning could result into large-scale educational reforms. It may be due to illiteracy or partial literacy and financial or communal heterogeneity. This also stops us from bringing equity amongst the masses. Challenge 3. Amongst all the challenges faced, ignorance of the educators to make them tech-savvy is the most prominent. Their resistance to the changes and their reluctance to emerge out of their comforted shells makes it difficult to implement the changes in an effective manner. Challenge 4. Excessive use of Facebook, YouTube, or Twitter is distracting the students, thereby causing a major concern to the parents. Distraction due to technology strengthens their view that traditional methods are not only easily approachable, but also nourish the child's personality, and so they are not enthusiastic to adapt to the changes. Challenge 5. Technology changes at the wink of the eye. Replacing the outdated equipments with high-tech modern ones is an additional burden and extremely tedious. This further restricts opening of new vistas for the advancement of digital learning. Challenge 6. Do we expect our students to be thorough with the contents and learn the basics of the subject, or the performance should be judged on the applied aspects of the curriculum? We need to ponder upon and reach to a consensus for what is expected from our students. With the onset of information and communication technology, human civilization has entered an era where digitalization will bring mammoth changes in our survival. Transformation should take place the way the parents, teachers, society, and above all, the learners accept and could adapt to them. So where is the limit? There are many more challenges to unveil. To quote Darwin, "It's not the strongest of the species that survives, nor the most intelligent that survives. It is one that is the most adaptable to change." So, dear friends, survival is to adaptation, adapt the changes, than to succumb to them. Thank you. Have a good day.
Thank you. Yeah, continuing. So, it's a very comprehensive list of the challenges and cautions, and it's very interesting that eventually she touches upon Darwin and evolution, because if you look at what Darwin talked about was a pre-technology age. So it was trial and error and mutations and selections and random combinations. Whereas the moment you say you have now intelligent human beings on the planet, plus they have devices, then complete random things are not happening. Various decisions have been taken to alter things. In fact, for those of you who are interested, this is called the Anthropocene age. So prior ages were the things where humans were unimportant, nature was really powerful, and humans were small fries in the midst of nature. But now what humans are doing, good or bad, can be much more than what nature does. And those who like to explore can explore this term called Anthropocene age. Yes,
thank you for your thoughts, sir. Now may I request DPS Bocaro to be ready next, and I would request DPS Vilai to be on stage.
Good afternoon, Chairperson, and everyone present here. Myself, A. Junjani from Delhi Public School, Bhilai. And the topic is good practices of ICT in my school. Now it is just giving you the idea how many labs we have and how many computers are there. There are 45 computers in each lab and we have a LAN connection. You might be familiar with the setup. Nothing is new. Here the library is equipped with internet connections for staff and students. They can access the internet. After this, I come to the smart classroom, which providing multimedia contents, share and participates, low maintenance, go green communications, and technology integration. Because once the technology is coming in the class, it becomes very easy to teach the students. We are also using interactive whiteboard, which provides immediate access to online content. Sometimes we feel that some of the things are given in the book, and beyond that, what is not given in the book, we can show them online if they are connected. Multiple devices we are using, like webcam, scanner, and printer. In case if something is required then and there, we have a scanner, we can scan it. Suppose if the scanner is not required, webcam is required immediately for 3-dimensional images, we can use for it. And if printout is required, all the things are available together in a classroom. Data storage and retrieval is here. Data storage means a large amount of teaching contents, PPT, and videos are available. Digital subject contents with animation and videos that really helpful in teaching, because sometimes especially in bio and physics, you find the teacher who is teaching in the class is standing in front of the blackboard. If he teaches that when you move your hands like this, what exactly happens inside the bone, what happens with the muscles, it really becomes very difficult to show. If you have a multimedia content, exactly the child can understand how the things are moving inside. As it is clean and attractive, because dust-free classroom will be there. Now here how we are using these smart classrooms for quizzes. Suppose you want to conduct a quiz, the multiple questions will be coming in the classroom. The students are giving the answers, marking on the sheet, and then later on it can be checked. Using the special assembly we use for displaying things, songs, images, pictures. Special here science projects and diagrams can be shown, which we are using here. Circulars and notices, sometimes we get a very less time, and immediately we have to show some circulars or notices that can be displayed in all classrooms at the same time. Now GK exams using SAS device, that is self-assessment device, which can be used in the classroom, and the moment the quiz is over, we can see the score, individual child, how much he or she has scored. Now we can see for art and craft, sometimes the teacher feels that they want to project an image, maybe 3-dimensional, maybe 2-dimensional, that on big screen, so that the student can see the images and that can be drawn then and there. The motivational videos, sometimes we get engagement classes, and that is required nowadays, seeing the behavior of the students in the class. So whenever we get time, we play motivational videos, and that is really very popular among the students and they enjoy seeing it. Now, using a smartboard observations, what we have observed, students are more engaged. When the teacher is teaching, most of the time they look here and there continuously for 45 minutes, they can't see. But when you have an audio and a video and an interactive classroom teaching, then definitely they are more involved in that. Next, the result is improved, definitely, because there are so many ways, there are so many contents. When you go for NCERT book or CBSE book, you have only one book. But when you have net content, we have digital contents, we have your own server, the same thing can be understood by different ways with different contents. All the students are involved. Sometimes I tell you, in computer, I teach Python, C++, and Java. If I teach on the board, if I'm using a chalkboard, I write the program, and when the students go to the lab, I have to run here and there in 45 machines exactly what they are supposed to do. Here I am using a smart board where we can run actually a Python compiler, C++ compiler, or a Java. Then and there, what is the syntax I am using? Suppose I give an example of, say, HTML or Python, whether %d, %f, all those computer teachers are here, they will understand. The %d, %f, and %s, that is formatting a string that can be displayed then and there to understand exactly when you apply minus 15s plus 15s, what exactly effect will appear on a screen. So it becomes really very easy. The student is really seeing how the program is executed. So when you go for the practical, they really don't have to see what exactly they have to press a key or a shortcut. They know each and everything. Only the thing is they are themselves testing whether their program is correct or not, their logic is correct or not. Another one is here, the students' colorful images improved understanding. Definitely there are so many areas where you find the black and white images are available in the textbook, whereas the digital contents, they are having 3D images where actually you can visualize the things, how exactly the things happens. Now here I am giving an example of Python. Programming is there. Now this can be used especially for teaching computer science. It is very effective because all the softwares which are available, and you can demonstrate exactly after typing a program how the program will run. At the same time, you can call the students in the computer, and then what logic they feel exactly, whether it is correct or not, then and there they can type the program and they can execute, and the entire class can see their performance, their outputs, and they can understand the better logic, and they can minimize their algorithms also. Now here for house functions, I'm talking about the overhead projectors. Here for house functions we are using exhibitions, background for dance, like a shadow dance example is here. The titles and banners for cultural program, the program is going on, who has directed and how many students are participated, their names. So sometimes really parent feels very good when they see the names of the students or their awards displayed on the screen. Then for timers and quiz, and then live videos on big screen. Thank you very much. Thank you, sir.
Right, thank you. I think you should not go away with the impression that this is only for teaching computer science. So that is one of the important things to remember, that it applies to all kinds of subject teaching. And yes, what's the next?
I request DPS Dhanbad to be ready for the next presentation. And may I have DPS Bokaro on the stage, please?
Good afternoon to all of you. I am Paramjit Kaur from DPS Bokaro, and I'm going to present before you power of ICT integration in DPS Bokaro, a case study. As I was yesterday when I met some of my colleagues, they asked me that DPS Bokaro has been giving very good results. They are producing scores of IITians and so on, so many things like that. So I'm very happy that I got this opportunity to present this, because I'm going to present a case study, how we are able to give the superlatives, because we had started integrating ICT way back in around 2004, something like that. Around 10 years back, we had started integrating ICT in the yarn of our daily life. The need for ICT has been discussed since morning. Everybody says, you all have discussed, we had so many discussions that why it is required. It is driven by global forces. Education institutions are now increasingly dependent on ICT. 5 areas where ICT is effectively used, that is expanding access, promoting efficiency, improving quality of learning, improving quality of teaching, and improving management systems. As I said, that the best of the best that we have had in the annals of the school history, Prasoon Kumar Jha, 1993, All India rank 1 in IIT, Rajiv Ranjan Rakshit, All India rank in IIT Dhanbad, Neeraj Sinha, All India rank 1 in CBSE, PMT, JIPMER, highest percentage score till date is 98%. In 12th standard and science and commerce, it is 96.6 till date. Again, the comparison, we started in 1989, 25 students, and now 223 in 10th standard, from 83 to 520. Percentage from 95 to 10 CGPA, around 54% students, they get 10 CGPA in our school. This year they got. And 12th standard as well, from 91.6 to 96.2, this year's result. Now, using ICT helps us in the holistic development of the children. It is used not only in the scholastic fields, as it is used in the co-scholastic fields as well. It's not about books and assessments, it's about co-scholastic activities. Performance monitoring of all the subjects is done, all the participation activities are highlighted. As you can see in the pictures, I've made a small collage in that. Differentiated learning is possible through ICT because we collect the data, and with that data we make a comparison analysis, and with that analysis we are able to find out that what is the area where the students lag behind, and what is the area, like the classroom is divided into 3 groups, the performers, very good performers, the average performers, and the people who are, children who are not able to perform very well. So we accordingly divide, and we go in for differentiated assessments, which are online most of the time. Children download the assessments where they are sitting from the school website. They have a unique ID with which they can log in, and those assessments they'll do, and then they'll bring it to the school, or they can submit it online as well. We got both the options for them. Yes, the classrooms are converted into digi classrooms, as we have been discussing since morning. It's okay, I was still speaking on that. Targeted approach, as I said just now, to remove the weaknesses, to find out, like, say a particular chapter has been taught and the children are not able to perform in a particular, say 50% of the students could not solve a question, a particular question. So that will be the targeted approach, and we'll be able to go ahead for the differentiated teaching in that process. Next is the ICT improves accountability. There's a 360-degree feedback. The parents can access, the teachers can access, the management is there, the students are there. So 360-degree feedback is there through ICT. They can log in, there's a feedback questionnaire. They can go over there, they can fill in that questionnaire and submit it online. And they don't even have to give their identity. Sometimes, there are some things that they are afraid, so they can even hide their identity. There's a 360-degree feedback thing. Teachers log, they fill in there's a SRP system in the school resource planning system. The teachers, they fill their log online. It's through intranet in the school. Their teachers log, their curriculum planning, their assessments, their question papers, everything, like that question paper does not go to anyone else, directly to the assessment in charge, and then the question paper is printed through that. Yes, constant monitoring is possible because it is in black and white over there on the net, and we can all access it. The administrators can access it and see whether the teachers are filling up their teacher's diary and what they have taught in the class, what content has been taught in the class. That is done. Yes, I was talking about transparency. There's a common platform. The school portal is there. I've clicked a picture of that school portal where you can go, you can log in, and you can put over there. Yes, every stakeholder gets updated through SMS system, and a regular SMS is there, bulk SMS, and if the children, like those who are absent, the attendance is marked online, and those who are absent, an SMS goes to the parents that your child has not reported to the school today. Knowledge management, through the SRP system, we've got a huge question bank with us. The teachers, those who fill up, those who make questions, they store it in the data bank over there, and we have got a huge lot of question banks in the online question banks, where they can select, they can form a question paper, they can go for online assessment of the children. They sit in one library. I'll be coming to that library later on, and they can sit, they can fill up those MCQs and submit it online. Data mining of the performance can be done through this. Achievement records are maintained over there. Attendance management, as I've already said. And the parents are updated. I've already said that. Enhanced processes because of ICT, because it saves lots of time. As I said in the beginning, that it's not about scholastic only, it's about co-scholastic as well. We have video jockey and radio jockey through PA system. The children sit in the class, and the group of students, they perform, and it is projected in all the classroom with all of them can see. E-library facility, you can see the picture in the, over here, where the children can access. There are around 30,000 books which they can access. They can read those books. They can go online. They can see those MIT lectures about which we were talking in the morning. And video conferencing, these are the international programs that we have. Somebody was talking about the global citizens over here. Recently, we had it with Germany, the online conferencing, web conferencing. We shared about the nationalistic movement in Germany and in India. That kind of sharing was done. Inclusive and integrated learning, we have got Dipan Shiksha Kendra in the school. Those children also have access to those smart boards. They sit over there and they see all those things. And integrated learning, we arrange GSPs over there in the school, that is guest speaker programs, where people from all walks of life, they come to the school and they deliver lectures and about various career options that they can have. It's not just about engineering and medical, about different career options. Later on, they can go for IAS, they can go for fashion designing, and people from different walks of different professions, they come and they deliver lectures to them. And yeah, this is the online voting that I've put a screenshot of online voting that we have for the student council, where they can go, they can select the person for whom they want to vote, for head boy, head girl. The names are there, they just have to click, and then the online voting is done, and within 5 minutes, 10 minutes, we have the data with us. And students, yes, that performance chart is there. And we also form the performance chart of the teachers. Like a particular teacher has been using the smart board very often, and what is the effect of the use on the result of that teacher. So comparison, that if a teacher is using the smart board, is it effective? Because effective use of smart board is required. Yeah, we have to be smart to use the smart boards in a smart way. So that effective use has to be done, not just going and playing the smart board or the DG classroom and just standing over there, passive over there. So the comparison is made, whether it is being done in an effective manner or not. Teachers' diary, lesson plans, question banks, I've already talked about that. School appointee elections, and yes, less paperwork, going green with that, saving paper with all of these things. So the successful implementation for that, first of all, we have to change the mindset of the teachers. Teachers do have their inhibitions. So for that, we have to arrange periodic workshops for them. Time and again, they have to be like, in the morning we were discussing that we all were born in the 20th century, and we learned most of the computers from our own children. So we have to update our teachers. We have to plan their workshops so that they can handle all these things in an easy way. We have to provide proper infrastructure for the ICT, and of course, focused approach has to be there. We never have to lose sight of what we aim at, what is the purpose of implementation of ICT in the school. Thank you very much.
Thank you. So in addition to everything that has been said before about flipped learning and blended learning, here is a focus on differentiated learning, which can then lead to personalization. So actually, once all the presentations are over, I think you have a nice suite of examples and case studies which can easily be adopted by everybody. So very useful exercise.
Thank you, sir. I request DPS Durg to be ready for the next presentation. And may I have DPS Dhanbad on the stage, please?
Good afternoon, Professor Pant,
Yes.
Professor Sharma, Madam Vinita Khe, she's just left, and Madam Manju Bala Subramaniam, heads of all the other schools who are here, teachers, coordinators, and everybody else. I am Sharmila Sinha from DPS Dhanbad. Now, when we talk of technology transaction, embedded technology, technology harnessing, and good ICT practices, we all realize that the teacher is the main role behind all this transaction. The teacher is the most important thing in the way she transacts and conducts all this technology. So the topic that we have chosen is need for developing computational thinking skills in teachers. And what is computational thinking skill? It is the logical skill of thinking. It is the critical skill of thinking before we actually come down to handle the computer and the technology. And for teaching in the class, before we come to computation handling, technology handling, a teacher is expected, whether we teach geography, history, maths, computer science, or we are talking about projects, we are talking about any co-scholastic activities, we should be able to tell them about the abstract, what is the theme all about it. Then we should be able to do the decomposition, break it into components. Each component will have plenty of other subparts, so we should be able to tell about what is parallelization. And finally, we can give them the sequencing, the ordering, the algorithmic of it, expression, and finally, the automation. So today what we will be presenting you is what should be the computational skills, computational thinking skills in teachers. And for that, the PPT will be shown by the computer coordinator of our school.
Thank you, madam. I'm Sunil Kumar Dan, ICT coordinator for Delhi Public School, Dhanbad. Is this me? So, I'm starting with a very famous line of John F. Kennedy, change is the law of life, and those who look only to the past and present are certainly to miss the future. So our topic is, what is computational thinking? It's not working. Huh. Starting from the beginning. So what is computational thinking? Next slide, please. This one, huh? Okay. So if we combine power of computation and power of critical thinking, we will come to know about computational thinking. So according to Janet Wing, she has given 4 fundamental skills that a child should learn. The first 3 are very basic. It's not coming. No, previous one. Huh? Yeah, I'm doing there only, no? This animation is not coming. Okay, whatever, start from the next slide only. Huh? So 4 fundamental skills I was talking about. The first 3 are very basic, reading skill, writing skill, communication skill, and the 4th one will be the computational skill. You can go to the next slide. I beg your pardon if I am offensive here. When we talk about computational thinking, the common teachers' attitudes that comes like at some point I knew that it will come to me and I have to do this. It's not coming properly. The next thing, some literature teacher will say that I only teach English, but I'm pretty sure that all these things will be done by all nerdy teachers from our school. Another. It was coming there properly. It's a different version, no? It's 2007 only. Play it in compatible view, no? Just connect the projector cannot be connected there? These.
So why don't you briefly say what it is about, and then you can send the PPT to people later on.
So I was continuing there. I was continuing.
Yeah, so why don't you just simply in 5 minutes, because we are getting off time, just explain what is the key point, and you can send the PPT to the people.
Okay. I have already sent, sir. Thank you.
Okay.
So computational thinking skill is just we need to think about how we are going to change our attitudes towards teaching. Like my computer teachers will know it very well, all the jargons from the computer science, that decomposition, pattern recognition, abstraction, all these terms. Now, how we are going to include all these terms in other disciplines also. It's not that we cannot do it knowingly or unknowingly. Knowingly or unknowingly, some teachers are already doing these things. So if it will be smooth now? Huh? So will we be playing or? No, it's okay. It's okay. So the facts, the computer's thinking is a strategy for solving problems that can be applied to any field or any situation. I can give you real life examples also that how computer thinking we can apply in real life, a simple incidents of shampooing our hair also. We can apply computer thinking skill there also, from starting the initial state of dirty hair to final state of clean hair. The computational thinking and computer science, these are two different things, and we can successfully teach and use computational thinking without ever touching a computer. And the last term is very important, if we choose to. If we don't want to choose, we can do it without using a computer. We definitely do not need to make robots, learn to make new language or program or computer to ensure our students computational thinking skill. And it is not going anyway anytime soon. It's a fact, and it's on the rise. So we will come to the basic or formal definition. What is it? It is a problem-solving process essential to the development of computer applications and can also be used to support problem-solving across all disciplines. And what is going to help us with? It will give confidence in dealing with complexity, persistence in working with difficult problems, tolerance for ambiguity, ability to deal with open-ended problems, and ability to communicate and work with others to achieve a common goal or a solution. Open-ended problems, and this one I will explain you later. So these are the jargons, these are the terms, all computer teachers are already knowing it, and how we can implement this in our other disciplines also. As a time constant in there, I will focus on the 4 basic terms. And that the first one is the decomposition. What is decomposition? We can break up hard problem into smaller ones and easier ones. An example we can give that a poem can be explained in a different ways, different modules. These are the different modules a poem can be explained. Decomposition, and if you want to apply decomposition in mathematics, the first glance, this quadratic equation looks very difficult and complex, but how we can tell students that if you decompose this one into smaller modules, one by one, you can solve it very easily. But if you show it the first glance that this is your problem and you have to solve this, it will be difficult for an average or below average student. So if you go by step, we can solve it very easily, and the student will also get interested in solving this. The next one, the next term that I will take is a pattern recognition. What is pattern recognition? It's observing pattern trends and regularities in data. Simple examples, pattern trends like here is a series of squares of natural numbers. The next one you can give in higher classes that pattern are rising and going down in the economy. Third one is the abstraction. Abstraction is removing all details and complexities and taking out the main ideas from of a given problem. A short story or article is there. We can ask the students, we generally do also, we already doing also, that we ask what is the main moral, what is the moral of this lesson, or what is the main idea, what are the main ideas of this lesson. A world map is an example where we are using abstraction according to the latitude and longitude. We are finding out the location of a place. And the last one is the algorithm design, creating an ordered series of instructions for solving similar problems or for doing a task. We, as a teacher, we tell the solution to the students. We will tell them how to do these things step by step, one by one. Like, for example, when a chef is preparing a recipe, preparing a preparation, he writes a recipe for a dish, he is creating an algorithm that others can follow and replicate the dish. In mathematics, all our mathematics teachers know that we are doing this using variables and all. We are deriving the formula. So what basically we are doing, we are giving them how you can also do this. How can you come up with the solution of a given problem? So, but why are we are talking about this computational thinking here? So, because the governments around the world sees this as an essential skill in the 21st century, and the Apples and Googles of the world fill out a large portion of world's successful companies and individual lists. If you go through that list, you will find most of them are from these companies and many other companies also. And all these exist on the fundamental of computational thinking. So in the essence, we can say that we need to turn our kids from technology consumers to technology creators. And how we are going to do that is the computational thinking allows us to make this change. I would like to borrow one sentence from Professor Pant sir, with your permission. In the morning, he quoted a line, I'm quoting the same, that teachers should be the curators of the resources. And I'm here, I'm just emphasizing on that part only, that teacher should facilitate, teachers should encourage the students. It's not that I'm going to the class, I'm telling the students that this is the problem of this solution and this can be derived by this way only and no other way. You can arrive, you can have your own answer. I will just encourage him, I will just encourage his ideas, I will give him different ways, open his mind. And next day he will come up with a new idea that even I didn't know. And this will be a great thing to do in classrooms. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So till the next one comes, see, it is, I think, very interesting, although there was glitches there, computational thinking is going to be the next very important thing for people coming out of school. This term became popular by a person called Janet Wing, who was in Carnegie Mellon University. You can watch her YouTube video. She has a 6-page paper in the ACM where this concept was first introduced, but her video is very good and gives explanations of various contexts that comes in. It's in a sense the successor to what in our generation was mathematical thinking. We thought people who have a mathematical ability are good problem solvers, they can do good abstraction, and therefore were preferred in all kinds of positions. Computational thinking is the next level. And actually, it would be interesting if all of you create programs for your children called New Thinking for the New Millennium, where you talk about critical thinking, creative thinking, innovative thinking, design thinking, strategic thinking, computational thinking as skills which they get alongside. Janet Wing has very well summarized computational thinking by saying it is the automation of abstraction. So mathematics, you do abstraction and then you solve, but what? And this has become very important when now we are talking of a time where machine intelligence, big data is being talked about. So this becomes very, very important. So can we have the last presenter or we're over?
So we'll break for the tea now.
No, let's finish because I have to go.
Okay, sir.
So
because that's the reason we put the next presenter to the second group.
Okay, so then we are, so can I say a few marks to, right, good. So I will just want to say something by way, because I'm going away, and I would suggest to you that if you are really interested in carrying on conversations around any of these things, you can send me an email at mmpant@gmail.com. from what we have seen about these best practices shared, I think you already have solutions to your problem. You have this suite of things which have been said, and you can adapt and adopt them to your things. We've talked about flipped learning, we have talked about blended learning, we have talked about differentiated instruction, which leads to personalized learning, we've talked about computational thinking, and the Allahabad one talked about critical thinking in the beginning as well. I want to leave you with a few more thoughts. One terrifying thought, and for this, you just Google the phrase, humans need not apply. And when you Google the phrase, humans need not apply, you will get to a 15-minute video, which I did not want to show over here because which is showing how machine intelligence will surpass human intelligence and what impact it has. But what I want to share with you is that one of the questions that arises in our minds is, all this is fine, how do I go about doing it? How do I make this transformation? The person who talked about flipped learning mentioned that you decide what you want to flip. So now suddenly we will not flip everything, right? So you will decide what you want to flip. And for that, an interesting concept that is being used nowadays, is being talked about, is what is called threshold concepts. So if you're teaching maths or science or economics or politics or sociology or even history, geography, there are certain threshold concepts. And once you understand that threshold concept, many things follow. So what they are trying to say is, for each of the topic, don't look at the entire topic chapter week by week NCERT curriculum, but pick out what are key threshold concepts. And on those concepts, apply your flipped learning, blended learning, this kind of a thing, because then you will start seeing the benefits of it. Also, when something is used sparingly, the impact is higher and the value is higher. In fact, in this thing, there's something called Hawthorne effect, that whenever you try to do something new, people respond to it positively, but it becomes routine, people again get disappointed. So for each subject, each stage, identify what are the key threshold concepts, maybe 5 or 10, and say for this year, we will look at the first 5 concepts, most important concepts, which students find difficult to understand, which is there and so on, rather than saying I will transform the entire curriculum to that, because that is, I think, the other thing which is very important and follows with this is a concept called mastery learning. So while you're doing all this, make sure that everybody has mastered it to the level that is required, and there is no reason that, except for people who have serious intrinsic learning difficulties, if half the class can learn something, the other half can't. And pre-technology days, that was not easy because there was no way of repeating stuff. But because of the flipped classroom model and the recording being available, that is possible. People who take a little longer time can see that twice, thrice, whatever. Very often people forget. This is one of my favorite things. I ask, so what is learning followed by? And everybody will say application, this, that. But learning is followed by forgetting. And the point of these videos is to reinforce that learning. So you teach something in class, by the time the child has gone home, he's forgotten. And even if you make notes, it was not complete. But because there is a video recording of that thing, that can be seen again and again. And your role as an educator is to point to those cognitive conflicts which get generated in the minds of a person. Professor Rajaram Sharma had said that you go to a cobbler for this, you go to a tailor for this, you go to a doctor for this. You go to an educator to remove your cognitive conflicts. You thought this was always so, but he tells you this isn't. You feel this is the thing, he will tell you the exception. You will do something, he will tell you. And that is the role of an educator. An educator creates cognitive conflicts if you are too comfortable, challenges you, and after creating the cognitive conflict, helps you in resolving that cognitive conflict, either on your own or with the assistance of all these kind of things that are there. 2 new things which I think are very important for you to look at. Personalizing of the learning. See, we have said, in fact, the Allahabad thing began with learner-centered education. But where is learner-centered education? The curriculum is decided by what? CBSE, NCERT, exam, Directorate of Education, etc. The child has no choice in saying, this is what I want to study. Even, for example, for all this, if there are 10 kids in your class who say, we want to study computational thinking, do you think you can organize that? Now, the point is, therefore, we are still not into learner-centered education, but let's see if technology can help move into this. My confrontation with learner-centered education happened very early in school. So I was studying in a school in Allahabad, one of the best schools. Now, of course, I have to say DPS will be a better school, but the school I studied in was called St. Joseph's Convent, Allahabad, was one of the best schools. And I was a good student. So when it came time for coming to what was called Senior Cambridge, the choice had to be made between physics and English literature. And I liked both subjects. I was good at both. And I went to the principal. I said, I want to do both. He said, no, but you can't. You have to choose one of them. And I tried my Julius Caesar Brutus thing, not that I love Caesar less, but that I love Rome more. But nothing worked. And the principal said, see, the point is, these two classes are done simultaneously. So you cannot do both classes. So I said, you know, I'm a bright student. I will choose part physics, part English, and then manage the thing. They said, you can do that, but the final Senior Cambridge exam is also held at the same time. So in any case, you will not be able to get a grade for that kind. So these are operational constraints that when you want to say that you are talking child-centered or person-centered, you can't. Later on, at some point of time, as a computer expert, I became an advisor to Allahabad University to develop their computer systems. And in the BA, you take 3 subjects. So I thought that what are the different combinations that are possible? And I found there's a finite set of combinations which has no academic principles at all. It is because for hundreds of years, the classroom availability is such that the timetable has to be that way. And therefore, it has got nothing to do with relationship of subjects, it's got with operational things. In 1987, I came to Indira Gandhi University as head of the computer division, and we had this great philosophy. You can study anything you want. You can study physics with philosophy, you can study anything. And in the very first time, in the first year, for example, they asked you to take 4 courses, 8 credits each, and they had a choice of 54 courses. And I told the Vice Chancellor, this cannot be done, because I had the experience of it. But these people are very emotional. They said, no, why can't it be done? So I said, if you allow people to take 4 courses, out of 54 courses, the number of combinations is 54 into 53 into 52 into 51 divided by 4 into 3 into 12. Now, both my VC and PVs were not mathematics people, and they thought this fellow is extra bright and he's trying to create a nuisance. I said, no, it can be done. I said, fine, go ahead. They gave that choice. Out of the 30,000 students who registered, something like 20,000 had unique combinations. Now, because they had unique combinations, how do you send them the course material? And even if you were to send them the course material, because you have to go through this thing, because each of these things, for everybody, you have to go through all the 54 course booklets before you can do that. Even suppose you decided, I will send 54 copies to everybody, not worry about postal expenses, how do you hold the exam? Because if you're going to hold 54 days of examination, and then courses will increase, you can't. So this is then how constraints start coming in. So it is easier to set learner-centered education, but it is more difficult to do that, because unless you go all ICT based, the exam is ICT, so people are sitting and they're doing different